Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to prepare menudo. This recipe has been requested many times, so today we're going to prepare it and my husband's going to assist today. We're going to prepare it using uncooked hominy. You can find this type of hominy in just about any Mexican grocery store, or you can also use the one that's pre-cooked in the can. We're going to use about 6 pounds, which equals about 1 large can. If you're using canned hominy, add it 30 minutes before the menudo is done. But if you're using fresh hominy, it does take a while to cook. So we're going to start by prepping this one first. And we're going to cook it along with the pancita, or the tripe. First, we're going to rinse it really well and remove any bad pieces if you find any. The bad pieces usually have a darker color, so we just remove those if we find any. This one is still a little bit frozen because I buy the hominy ahead of time. It's very hard to find fresh hominy in my local grocery store, so whenever I find it on sale, I stock up and freeze it and use it as needed. I like to use a strainer when rinsing the hominy because once the water runs clear on the bottom, you'll know the hominy is nice and clean and ready. To cook the menudo, we're going to need a large stock pot. This one is a 16-quart stock pot, and I'm hoping everything fits in here, but if not, then we'll worry about that later. We're going to fill it up about halfway with water. To prepare the menudo, we're also going to need 1 large white onion. We're going to trim off the end, and we're going to remove the first layer of skin. Trim off the top of the onion and lightly trim the roots. Cut it in half. Lightly trimming the roots is going to keep it intact, which will make it much easier to remove the onion later on because we will be using it to prepare the sauce. We're also going to need 1 entire head of garlic. This one we're going to trim off the top to reveal the garlic just like this. Remove as much of the excess husk around the garlic and lightly trim off the bottom. Then add it into the pot as well. And we're also going to need a little bit of salt. Let me get that, and we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of salt. We're going to start out with a small amount, and if we need more, we can always add more later on. Transfer all of the hominy into the pot and place it on the burner on high heat. Meanwhile, we're going to rinse 6 pounds of tripe or pancita. The one that I'm using is already pre-cut, or you can also buy it whole. If you're using the one that's whole, make sure to cut it into smaller 4 to 5 inch pieces. You don't want to cut it too small because it does shrink during the process. And to make the menudo extra flavorful, we're also going to add 3 pounds of cut beef feet. This is completely optional, but it does add a lot of flavor to the menudo. Sometimes the pieces may still have a little bit of hair attached. Using a sharp knife, trim off the hair, give it a good rinse, and add it into the bowl as well. Fill up the bowl with water and give everything a good rinse. Dump out the water and fill the bowl with clean water once again. This time we're also going to add the juice from 2 large limes and about half a cup of vinegar. Make sure there's enough water to where the tripe is completely submerged in the water and allow it to soak for about 20 to 30 minutes. This is going to help to disinfect and clean the tripe. After 20 to 30 minutes, dump out the water and give it a couple good rinses before adding it to the pot with the hominy, which has been boiling on medium heat for about 30 minutes. As we were adding the tripe and the feet into the pot, we realized this pot is not going to be big enough. So guess what? We are going to have to transfer this into a larger pot. Good thing my husband is helping me out and he is my muscle so he can transfer everything into a larger pot. Since this pot is much roomier, we're also going to add more water and 3 bay leaves. Then we're going to take it outside to cook. Now we're going to head back inside and begin to prepare the peppers for the sauce. In a large pan, heat up a small amount of vegetable oil over medium heat. Remove the seeds from 20 chile guajillos and remove the stems from about 10 chiles de árbol. Don't remove the seeds from the chiles de árbol because that's what's going to give your sauce that extra spice. But if you don't want your sauce too spicy, you can leave the chiles de árbol out completely. We're going to lightly fry these for about 5 to 7 minutes over medium heat with frequent movement. I also added about 6 peppercorns. Once the peppers are nice and fragrant, add about 2 to 3 cups of water or enough water to where the peppers are completely submerged in the water. Bring to a boil, turn off the burner, and cover for about 15 minutes. You can also skip this step altogether and soak the peppers in hot water. But doing this first is going to enhance the flavor of the peppers and it's going to give your sauce a much richer flavor. Fish out the onion and the garlic from the stock pot and allow it to cool down for about 10 minutes. To prepare the sauce, we're going to transfer all the peppers into the blender, including the broth from the pan. We're also going to add 6 fresh garlic cloves, the onion and the garlic that we fished out of the pot. And for seasonings, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of Mexican oregano and 1 teaspoon of cumin. Blend on high for a good 2 to 3 minutes or until it has a nice pasty texture. Now, depending on the blender that you're using, you may choose to strain it into the pot or you can add it directly into the pot. Since our blender did such a great job of blending everything up, we're just going to add it directly into the pot. The menudo has been boiling for a little bit over an hour. Now we're going to add in the sauce. Then we're going to fill up the blender with water to get the remainder of the residue from the sauce. Then we're going to add that into the pot as well. And at this point, you can taste it to see if it needs additional seasoning or salt. I did end up adding another tablespoon of oregano and more salt. Anytime you're cooking, you always want to taste your food because there's nothing worse than tasting food that's bland or that has no flavor. I also added beef bouillon to add extra flavor to the broth. Now it's just a matter of time before we can enjoy a delicious bowl of menudo. Cover and boil for an additional 2 hours or until the tripe is nice and tender. During the process though, you want to check on it often and move it around. And for those that like spice, I'm going to prepare a special blend for the topping by lightly toasting a few chiles de árbol. Then I'm going to blend them in the blender or a food processor until it has a nice powdery texture. Mix it in with a little bit of Mexican oregano, and for the remainder of the toppings, we're also going to use minced white onion, cilantro, and radishes. The menudo is finally done. Look how nice and rich the broth is. I like to add a lot of chile guajillos because I like my broth extra rich. Now let's serve a nice hefty bowl of the menudo. We're going to include one of the patitas. A lot of people prepare the menudo without the hominy, but I personally like it with the hominy. And now my husband is going to assist with the taste test. Let's see what he thinks.
Cilantro. Cebollita.
Serve the menudo with fresh homemade corn tortillas and enjoy. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, leave me a little heart. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.